I thank the gentleman. I now recognize the gentleman for Texas for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for having this incredibly important hearing where we can better understand the systematic abuses of the Biden administration for the past 4 years. Our colleagues on the other side want to encourage us to move on from a federal government that was weaponized against the American people that they are supposed to represent and protect. Move on after our FBI was targeting parents who were concerned that their children were being indoctrinated into radical transgender ideologies in their public schools. Move on after the left weaponized the federal government to create a mass censorship industrial complex violating our First Amendment rights. We're supposed to move on after they targeted Catholic Americans, traditional Americans, and labeled them violent extremists. We're told that there's a problem that we can't agree on what's right and wrong, and I agree, that is a huge problem. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that censorship is wrong. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that it's wrong for the FBI to target parents concerned about what they're learning in their schools. It's a problem that the other side of the aisle can't recognize that it's a problem whenever our federal government goes after Christian Americans. That's a serious problem, and that's something we should be able to agree on, but unfortunately, we can't. We saw unprecedented levels of weaponization under the Biden administration against the same American people that it was supposed to be looking out for. Christopher Wray created an internal memo that slandered traditional Catholics as anti-Semites and white supremacists. It suggested that the FBI monitor traditional Catholics and even set the stage for FBI informants entering places of worship. At the same time, remember, this was happening while Joe Biden was, of course, facilitating the mass immigration of illegal criminals into our country. Not keeping us safe in that instance, that's for sure. Thankfully, and I think the American people are very thankful that we finally have a president and a head of the FBI and head of the DOJ who actually represent us and want to protect us. I want to thank all of the witnesses for being here. We really appreciate your testimony and your time here. Mr. Whitson, I'd like to start with you. The FBI utilized a so-called hate map from the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, as it was going after traditional Catholics and labeling them domestic extremists. Do you think that that's an appropriate source?
Absolutely not.
Do you know some of the other groups that the SPLC labels as hate groups or extremist groups?
No, I don't, off the top of my head.
I can name a few. They also name the Alliance Defending Freedom, the Family Research Council, and Moms for Liberty as hate groups as well. Do you find it concerning that they were using that the SPLC as a source?
Yeah, I find it deeply concerning.
Do you think that Catholics who celebrate the traditional Latin Mass are a threat to the American people?
I don't, because I'm one that does that on occasion.
Can you recall, before Joe Biden was in office, any time whenever the FBI specifically targeted a group of Americans solely because of their religious faith?
No.
Do you think there's any evidence to suggest that harassing Catholic Americans keeps Americans safe?
Not at all.
Got it. Do you think that that we've seen a move away from this sort of flagrant weaponization since President Trump has entered office?
Absolutely.
And what do you think that this committee can do to help ensure that we don't see a return of that sort of weaponization?
Well, I think number one, it's accountability, right? That's not going to surprise you. I'm from the Foundation for Government Accountability. And so it's not enough to identify a problem and then just move on. You've got to hold people accountable. And it's going back to the earlier point. If you want to re-earn the trust of Americans in the FBI, they have to see people held accountable. But then at the same time, you need to refocus and look at what are the problems we have right now, and that's the wide open border, that's the violent crime, and so you need to press the FBI to make sure they're pushing resources where they should.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.